Hi everyone, we are back for some more live lessons, this time with pitching. Now, pitching is an area where there's usually no more than about half a dozen things that people tend to do wrong. There's some really common ones, and you'll see from the three ladies that I've chosen that most of them are doing similar things wrong. So let's go through it anyway, starting with our lady number one, we'll call her. So we'll go through her first two swings in normal speed. Okay, let's pause her there. So her setup looks good. That left arm's nice and firm and her weight is favouring her front foot there. That looks really, really good. So let's take her back. Now you can see here that because she hasn't cocked her wrist, her left wrist or her leading wrist early on the backswing, there's not enough wrist break going back. Now let me just move her across and I'll put me down on the left hand side there and we'll be able to do a comparison. So what you'll notice is that my leading wrist has cocked early in the backswing, and so I've got that wide V shape, which is really important for hitting down to the bottom of the ball, which lifts the ball up. Now if you go back without your wrist, which is what's happened here with our lady number one, then the elbow will start to bend instead, which is fatal in pitching and chipping, because you're going to hit a lot of ground before, you're going to hit a lot of top shots, you're just going to be really inconsistent with where that club comes back down into the back of the ball. All right, now the other thing we'll notice here too is the length of her backswing is too long for this shot. Now that's another really, really common problem. For some reason, people feel comfortable with a really big long backswing and then a sort of a slow down deceleration into the shot, which is going to cost you with your distance control and also going to cost you with your connection. When the club slows down into the shot, you tend to hit the ground before the ball a lot. You also tend to collapse your elbows a little bit. Because you're worried about it going too far, you sort of pull back off the shot, get tentative, and usually that's where it goes wrong for you. All right, so let's bring her down into impact. Now you can see here, I'll also bring my swing down and through to a similar position. Now you can see here that our lady number one is very flat-footed there. So after you've hit, the body should be turning through, the back heel should be coming up and the weight should be on the front. Now when the body stays very front on and flat-footed like this, the elbows have to start collapsing because they can't stay straight if the body's not turning through. It's just physically not possible. It's not too bad overall, this action, except for that collapsing of the elbows on the way through, and that is going to cost you some consistency. If you do connect fairly well with the ball, you're going to hit a fairly high sort of weak shot with those elbows collapsing. And so you'll get away with it sometimes, but you won't be consistent. And consistency is what we want, isn't it, in this game of ours. So she would need to shorten up the backswing a little bit, bring the body through the shot onto the front foot and keep those arms nice and firm into that Y shape that we talk a lot about. All right, thank you very much, lady number one. Let's move on to lady number two. We'll see her through her shots first. Okay, that's reasonably good, except that the weight doesn't look to me to be on the front foot. It looks almost to be leaning a little bit on the back foot already. Left arm's nice and straight. Her grip's a bit what we call strong. I don't know if you can see there, but we can see the whole back of her hand there. Now that means that her club face is going to be a little bit shut going back and she's going to hit the ball left. Now that's not going to be fun if you're forever hitting the ball left. Then what happens is you start to aim right to compensate, and then you start pushing the ball out to the right. So you're just going to be very inconsistent, A, with your direction, but also with your connection when you start compensating for the poor grip. So when you're gripping, if you looked in the mirror, what you don't want to see is the full back of the hand there. You look down at your grip. This is a general thing for pitching, chipping, driving, everything. If you look down at your hand, your leading hand, you should be able to see 2 to 3 knuckles, so 2.5 knuckles. If you can see the whole back of your hand looking down on it like that, then the grip is too strong and you'll be hitting the ball left. All right, so that's a good little thing to remember. Let's take her back as well. So she's got some really nice wrist there. You can see that lovely V shape, and if I bring me in at this point, you can see we're going to be very similar there. Not a lot of difference at all. Now, she's not doing too badly, but again, you can see that left elbow is bending. The body is a little bit flat-footed again, not a lot of body turn coming through. Let's see on the way through. And weight back a little bit. So overall, though, I'd probably give her an 8 out of 10 for that, 8.5 out of 10. I think she'd be pitching reasonably well, but could be more consistent with turning the body through a little bit and finishing a little bit more onto the front. So I would give her a solid 8.5 out of 10. Pretty good. All right, our lady number 3. We'll let her hit her first 2 shots here, and we'll stop her on the 3rd. Okay. Setup looks reasonably good. Again, not really leaning on the left. I'd like everybody, when you set up for anything less than a full swing, so all your chips, pitches, half, mid-range pitching, all that sort of stuff, I want you to be leaning a little bit on that front foot, so favouring the front foot. So otherwise it looks good though. Looks real good. That nice straight left arm. Let's see what happens going back. Now, this backswing is a bit too big for the shot. If I bring me in again on the left, I was playing the same shot as these ladies were playing on this day. And you can see the length of my swing is quite considerably shorter. And the reason that I can be shorter is because I'm using my body better. I'm turning my body on the way back, so I'm twisting a little bit more. And then that creates a whole lot of power. So it means you don't have to swing as long, which means you're reducing the risk. The longer the swing is, the more that can go wrong if you were to miss-hit the ball. So obviously we want to keep the swing fairly short if we possibly can. Now when your swing is too long for the shot, as I said in the previous lady, you're going to start slowing down, you're going to quit, because you know from past experience that the ball tends to go too long when you pitch, if this is your backswing for it. So you're going to start slowing down and quitting, and that's when things go wrong. Now you can see here that our lady number 3 hasn't really turned her shoulders very well going back. You can see that left shoulder is pretty much still kind of where it started. There's not a lot of twist going on, and hence no power created because there's no turn. So then she has to swing longer to create the power. Then we're going to get inconsistent. So we want to turn the body back and keep that left arm nice and straight. Keep the backswing nice and compact if we can. Not too bad. A little bit of wrist break coming through the shot. You can see she's hit a nice shot though, and you can see that the weight is now moved onto the front. A bit flat-footed again, not much turn coming through. I know it's only a short pitch, this one. I think it was only about 40 metres or something, 30 to 40 metres. It wasn't a very long pitch. But you can see a little bit of wrist break, which is going to cause a bit of inconsistency, which again is not what we want. We want to be nice and solid, certainly in practice, because if you're not solid in practice, very good chance you won't be under pressure. If she could just turn her body through a little bit more coming through that one, let's finish her off. There we are. Yeah, not too bad at all. Pretty good. Might give her a 9 out of 10, I would say, if we're ranking. Now, if you would like me to do a critique of your pitching swing, then that's included in our 4-week pitching course. So if you'd like to grab a copy of the 4-week pitching course that I've just released last week, this is included in the course. You send me the video of yourself pitching, and I will do a voiceover over it and slow you down and stop you and talk you through it all, so you know exactly what you need to do to improve your pitching, along with mid-range pitching, full technique, what to do where around the green, what clubs to use and why, what you tend to do wrong, what the most common mistakes are, and all those awkward lies as well. So deep rough, hard pan, all those sorts of things, all covered in our 4-week pitching course. So if you would like to get involved in that, I'll put a link down underneath this video. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.